Everyone remembers that first feeling of stepping into Aldwitch. There's an immediate shift in tone, a sense that something has gone wrong beneath the surface of London. The level opens with Lara descending into what appears to be an abandoned section of the underground, a maze of dimly lit tunnels, rusted metal walkways, and disused platforms. From the start, it feels less like a tomb and more like a relic of urban neglect. This Tomb Raider 3 level embodies a particular kind of claustrophobia. Gone are the bright jungle expanses or the open architectural majesty of the earlier India levels. Here, the environment presses in. The lighting is deliberately scarce. The glow of Lara's flares often the only way to distinguish walls, ladders, or crawl spaces. Every corridor feels like it could conceal a hidden lever, trap, or a path that leads you in circles. This is a level defined by disorientation. Its structure is dense, a labyrinth sprawl that seems to double back on itself endlessly. At times, you might swear you've been here before, and, to be honest, you probably have, only from another angle, or through a newly unlocked door that makes the space feel both familiar and alien. It's a design that punishes impatience. Those who rush through Aldwitch often find themselves retracing their steps again and again, trying to remember which switch unlocked which gate, or spending hours figuring out what to do with the coin that you see randomly dispensed on the floor. What's striking about Aldwitch is how unwelcoming it is, not in a supernatural or horror sense, but in its architecture and pacing. The level is built like a machine meant to test endurance. The cold industrial design, the constant backtracking, and the obscure progression all combined to create one of the most notoriously difficult levels in Tomb Raider 3. Players often describe it as a puzzle box without a clear key, and it's that quality, the deliberate convolution, that gives Aldwitch its infamous reputation. If there's one word that defines Aldwitch, it's disorientation. The level operates like a riddle made of corridors, a network of service tunnels, flooded chambers, and derelict stations that overlap and intertwine in maddening ways. It's the kind of space that doesn't give up its structure easily. The more you explore, the less sense it seems to make, until slowly, piece by piece, it begins to form a pattern. Not that elegant, but indeed deliberate. The central frustration of Aldwitch lies in its layout logic. It doesn't unfold linearly, although this is a common theme throughout Tomb Raider 3 as a whole. This level functions like a complex circuit. Every lever you pull, every gate you open, connects to something several areas away, often forcing you to retrace your path through now familiar terrain. There's no single thread that guides you through. Progress is an accumulation of memory, observation, and stubbornness. Players must keep mental maps, remembering that the door they opened 2 rooms ago might now grant access to an entirely different section across the map. And this is where Aldwitch tests its players most. It demands attention, patience, and spatial awareness. One run jump or missed switch can mean revisiting entire sections, crawling back through maintenance tunnels, swimming through flooded passages, or retracing steps across abandoned train platforms. The level is a masterclass in controlled tedium. It forces you to slow down, to re-examine spaces you'd thought you'd already solved, and to approach them with new context. And that's part of what makes Aldwitch so polarising. To some, it feels like poor design, perhaps a relic of an era when challenge was equated with convolution. To others, it's an example of intentional spatial storytelling. The backtracing mirrors the experience of being lost underground, trapped in an environment that refuses to yield logic or convenience. The level is not meant to be fun in a traditional sense, I think. It's meant to be oppressive, to wear down your sense of direction and confidence until finding the next lever feels like a genuine act of survival. However, it's because of this exact reason that even the smallest progress feels earned. A new door opening isn't just a gameplay event, it's a brief relief from the suffocating repetition. You start to develop an almost adversarial relationship with the environment, learning its rhythms and anticipating its tricks. There's a grudging respect that forms between the player and level. You begin to see the design as more than just unfair, but as unflinchingly honest. Aldwitch doesn't care if you like it, it only cares if you continue through the struggle. In the end, the labyrinth design of Aldwitch achieves something rare. It makes players feel the exhaustion and confusion that Lara herself might experience navigating this decaying underground world. The backtracking, the repetition, the sense of deja vu, all of it becomes part of the narrative texture. It's the game using architecture as a form of storytelling, making the environment itself an obstacle, character, and a test of endurance. Visually, Aldwitch is not a level that tries to impress. It's not grand or beautiful in the traditional Tomb Raider sense. There are no golden idols, lush foliage, or sunlit ruins. Instead, its aesthetic is one of deliberate ugliness, corrosion, abandonment, and dim artificial light. It's a space defined by what's been left behind. The level is extremely dark, and dim-lit areas make it often difficult to see. The commitment to realism is what makes the level's atmosphere so distinctive. Core design took inspiration from real London Underground, I would say, and you can see it in the proportions. The signage, even the way certain corridors curve into darkness. The architecture is functional rather than decorative, built for purpose and not beauty. That design gives the space a grounded authenticity, but it also strips away comfort. There's nowhere to rest your eyes, no moment of relief, no place to rest. What's remarkable is how this environment contrasts with the rest of Tomb Raider 3. After exploring wide open jungles and vibrant temples, Aldwitch feels like a collapse, as though the world is closing in. It's one of the few levels in the series where modern architecture is treated with the same reverence and menace usually reserved for ancient ruins. In this sense, Aldwitch becomes a modern tomb, not of kings or gods, but of human ambition, technology, and neglect. By embracing the mundane and the decayed, the level finds a quiet kind of horror. It's not the fear of monster or traps, but the unease of being somewhere forgotten, a place that was once part of daily life and is now slowly being reclaimed by silence. If the aesthetic of Aldwitch sets the mood, the gameplay defines its legacy, and that legacy is one of exhaustion. Even among the notoriously punishing levels of Tomb Raider 3, Aldwitch stands out as one of the hardest and most divisive. It is remembered not for the sense of adventure, but for its relentlessness, a level that tests patience more than reflexes, and memory more than skill. From the very start, Aldwitch refuses to communicate clearly. Switches are hidden in shadows, passageways are easily missed, and crucial keys are often placed in areas that look inconsequential or are easy to overlook. There are also some weird pickups and keys, such as the coin. The level demands that players observe, not just glance, but scrutinise every surface. In an era before easy online walkthroughs, this meant hours of trial and error, reloading, retracing, and rethinking. There's a sense that Aldwitch was designed without compromise, a puzzle box meant to push the limits of spatial reasoning. Players often compare it to navigating a maze without a map, where progress depends on testing things simply because you are fully out of options. I know I've mentioned this a few times, but seriously, who would have thought to put the coin into that phone box? What an absolutely impossible to find discovery. For many players, the constant strain turns Aldwitch into one of the least liked levels in the entire game. It lacks the spectacle of the South Pacific or the mystery of the Nevada desert. Instead, it offers something closer to fatigue. The repeated backtracking, switching levers, unlocking distant doors, returning through long tunnels can feel punishingly slow. Even small errors in judgment can cost significant time, eroding the sense of progress and feeding the frustration. But that frustration is, I think, the entire idea of this level. Aldwitch is less about the satisfaction of discovery and more about endurance, surviving the confusion, the repetition and sheer opacity of its design. It's an exercise in persistence, and perhaps one of the clearest expressions of Tomb Raider 3's philosophy at its hardest. That mastery must be earned, and not given. And then, when all is said and done, when you finally finish this level, the relief is absolutely monumental. You take a deep breath, and thank whoever it is that you will never have to face this level again if you don't want to. Looking back on Aldwitch today, it stands as one of the most contentious artifacts of late 90s game design, a level both rivaled and respected in equal measures. To some, it represents the worst instincts of that era, the needless opacity, the punishing layout, and the lack of player guidance. To others, it's a reminder of what Tomb Raider once demanded: patience, memory, and the willingness to be lost. Something I think that we don't really get in the Tomb Raider games of today. With the benefit of hindsight, Aldwitch feels like a turning point in the series' relationship with difficulty, but you could also say that with Tomb Raider 3 as a whole. Earlier Tomb Raider games had always challenged players, but they did so through precision and exploration, balanced with a sense of discovery. Aldwitch breaks that balance. It strips away spectacle and narrative clarity, replacing them with an experience that feels procedural, almost mechanical. It's a descent not just to underground, but into the core of what made the series both captivating and unforgiving. What makes Aldwitch so memorable, I think, even decades later, is that it refuses to compromise. It doesn't care about accessibility, pace, or player comfort. It's a product of a design philosophy that saw confusion as a legitimate tool for tension. In an age before waypoints, hint systems, or quick saves, players had to learn the language of the level, to think spatially, to remember landmarks, and to make mental maps of their own. It was frustrating indeed, but it also forged a kind of engagement that modern design rarely encourages. At the same time, Aldwitch reveals the limitations of that approach. Many players never finished it or downright dread this level, me included. The line between challenging and tedious is thin, and Aldwitch, I think, often crosses it. It's a reminder that tension are powerful tools, but without balance they risk alienating the very audience they seek to immerse. In a strange way, Aldwitch reveals a strange fascination. There's a purity to its vision, an almost architectural commitment to realism and difficulty. The level feels lived in, stubborn, indifferent to player expectations. In its cool geometry and recycled textures lies something haunting, a vision of a forgotten world beneath a living city, full of echoes and dead ends. Few levels in Tomb Raider, or in gaming generally, manage to evoke such a tangible sense of place through frustration alone. When the credits do eventually roll at the end of Tomb Raider 3, Aldwitch may be one of them levels you remember, but not for the right reasons. Its corridors, its gloom and endless backtracking, all of it lingers. In the pantheon of Tomb Raider levels, Aldwitch stands not as a triumph of design, but as a testament to ambition. It reminds us that difficulty, even when imperfectly applied, can still leave a lasting impression. At the end of the day, Aldwitch is a level you survive, and survival in the world of Tomb Raider has always been its own kind of victory. Thank you so much for watching my video and level review of Tomb Raider 3's Aldwitch. Please leave a comment down below whether you like this level and why, or dislike this level and why. Please like the video, subscribe and hype it up. As always, thanks to my members for their continued support. And to all of you, thank you for watching.